The Shed by Frank Flynn. We have the poem. There is a shed at the bottom of our garden with a spider's web hanging across the door. The hinges are rusty and creak in the wind. When I am in bed, I lie and I listen. I will open that door one day. There is a dusty old window at the side with three cracked panes of glass. I often think there is someone staring at me. Each time that I pass, I'll peep through that window one day. My brother says there is a ghost in the shed who hides under the rotten floorboards. And if I ever dare to set foot inside, he will jump out and chop off my head. But I will take a peek one day. I know that there isn't really a ghost. My brother tells lies to keep the shed for his den. There isn't anyone staring or making strange noises, and the spider has been gone from his web since I don't know when. I will go into that shed one day soon, but not just yet. It is a narrative poem in which a child is the speaker. So the whole poem Shed, the speaker is a child. The child is speaking about a shed which is near his garden. The shed is at the bottom of the garden which is rarely opened. A spider's web is seen hanging across the door to indicate this truth. The shed has a dusty window with three panes of glass. Whenever he passes through the way, he feels that somebody is staring at him. But the poet's brother warns him not to enter the shed because there is a ghost in the shed, and the moment you enter the shed, the ghost will cut off your head or kill you. The poet knows his brother's lies and there is no ghost. And so the poet or the child is determined to enter the shed one day. Next, I would like to take up the stanza wise summary of the poem. The Shed by Frank Flynn. The speaker is a child who is full of fear and curiosity about the shed which is at the end of his garden. The poem deals with the psychology of a child to think over the information received from his brother. It also shows playful rivalry between siblings. So, among the brothers and sisters, there is some secrets. So, it is a playful rivalry. What is a shed? A shed is a temporary structure built to shelter something. There are many types of shed. Usually in the house, it is a store room where you keep all the old items. Stanza 1. There is a shed at the bottom of our garden with a spider's web hanging across the door. The hinges are rusty, creaking the wind. When I am in bed, I lie and listen. I will open that door one day. This is the first stanza of the poem. So the poem opens with the description of the shed which is at the end of the speaker's garden. The above stanza beautifully describes the spider's web and the rusty hinges and the creaking sound when wind passes through it. The speaker thinks about the scary things at the bedtime. He has a strong desire to open the door and peep into it. So the child is very curious to go to the shed. There is a shed at the bottom of our garden and there is a spider web hanging across the door. The hinges are rusty. So the doors have hinges which have become rusty, full of rust. And when the wind blows, there is a sound, creaking sound. But the child is listening in the bed, all these things. He has not gone to the shed, but he has made up his mind that one day I am definitely going to see the shed. So the poet has used imagery. Imagery is that when the description is given, it comes before our eyes. So when he says there is a spider web, we can imagine that yes, definitely on the door there can be spider web, and talking about the rusty hinges, we can understand how iron rusts and everything becomes brown, and then the sound produced by the wind. So imagery, the poet is really successful in bringing the image of the abandoned shed. The shed is not used by anybody, it is abandoned. So it comes in front of our eyes, and the readers, because the poet has used good words like rusty hinges, spider's web, dusty old window, cracked window, all these things he has described so beautifully. So the image comes to our mind. Second stanza. There is a dusty old window around at the side with three cracked panes of glass. I often think there is someone staring at me. Each time that I pass, I will peep through that window one day. So the abandoned shed has old dusty windows. So we don't clean the shed, it will be full of dust. And there are cracked panes. So the window has cracked panes, the glasses are broken. The stanza is an extension of description of the shed. Further, the shed has been described. How uncare and it is in a falling position, that is dilapidated. It was in a very worst condition. It may come down any moment. The speaker thinks someone is staring at him each time he passes by. That was the fear in his mind. So the speaker wants to go to the shed, but he feels that whenever he is passing the shed, someone is staring. So the second stanza is about the description of the shed. First stanza also the poet has described the shed. Second stanza brings out how dusty the old window is. It is not cleaned, and there are 3 cracked window panes also. Glasses are broken, and whenever the child tries to go near the shed, he feels that somebody is looking at him. Third stanza. My brother says there is a ghost in the shed who hides under the rotten floorboards, and if I ever dare to set foot inside, he will jump out and chop off my head, but I will take a peek one day. So the third stanza is about a mischief played by his brother. His brother must be having some secrets, so he does not want this child to go to the shed. So the brother is trying to warn the child and say that there is a ghost, and if you enter it, he will cut off your head. But the child is determined that I will visit the shed one day. The third stanza clearly says how these fearful things went into the mind of the speaker. So, why the speaker or the child is feeling that somebody is staring at me? Because his brother has cooked up some stories and told him that there is a ghost in the shed. His brother told him about the ghost who hides under the rotten floorboard. So under the floorboard there is ghost, and the moment you enter, your head will be chopped off or cut off. He was told that if he dared to peep into it, the ghost would jump out and would chop his head. So there was a fear created by the brother. Third stanza. My brother says there is a ghost in the shed who hides under the rotten floorboards, and if I ever dare to set foot inside, he will jump out and chop off my head, but I will take a peek one day. So he is determined. He is not very afraid by the stories told by his brother. He has decided one day I will enter the shed. Stanza number 4. I don't know, there isn't really a ghost. My brother tells lies to keep the shed for his den. There isn't anyone staring or making strange noises. And the spider has been gone from his web since I don't know when. I will go into that shed one day soon, but not just yet. So in stanza number 4, once again he is telling that his brother has cooked up some stories about the ghost and there is no ghost inside the shed. His brother has some secret to be hidden in the shed, so he does not want anybody to enter the shed. So he is discouraging this boy, and he understood it that his brother is just telling some lies. The concluding part says that how the speaker knows there is no ghost in it. He convinces himself that his brother told his him a lie to keep the shed for his own hiding place. So den is a hiding place. When they are at play, perhaps hide and seek. The speaker also knows that nobody makes strange noises and spiders have gone from his web. So he has understood the reality. And the speaker seems to be determined to go into that shed one day. And the speaker was not ready to go into it right now, but one day he would certainly go into it. This shows his fear and curiosity. There is a clear conflict in the mind of the speaker, what he thinks, what he wants, what his brother told him about the shed and the ghost. This is the psychology of a child to try to understand, analyze the information received, and create one's own world. So the child knows that there is no ghost, but still he has some fear, tension in his mind because his brother has told him. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you. Have a nice day.